that I work with are high achievers, and you're used to this paradigm where you work really hard for something and then you get it. And that cycle can obviously be very rewarding. Like, I am not against hard work in any way. But what I do want to invite us into is letting go of the idea that you need to overfunction, abandon yourself, and burn yourself out for the sake of creating the life that you want. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with me, I'm Samara. I am a high achiever myself. I have been to multiple Ivy League schools. I have worked in jobs where I had to be incredibly autonomous, from my first job ever where I was basically the whole department, because a lot of people in the department were leaving the company, and it was really just me and an executive director who was several levels above me, and there would have been like 3 or 4 people on that team under normal circumstances, but I had to do basically the work of 3 or 4 people, let alone 3 or 4 people that were more senior than me and that would have had more experience than me. And then in the only other corporate job that I've had, I was, again, a department of one. I was hired specifically to be the only person in the whole company who had my role, and I was building out systems and structures and training other people in how to do research in order to improve the product that this tech company was making. So I was basically having to be the only one who knew how to do my job, the only one who was good at my job. And I have spent a lot of time being autonomous, being trusted with a lot of responsibility, and being in environments where I had to perform well. And I don't think any of that is necessarily bad. I don't regret any of those experiences. I'm actually very grateful for them. But what this ended up teaching me inadvertently was that it was all on my shoulders. I needed to work super hard. And if that meant that I wasn't sleeping, wasn't taking days off, wasn't resting, wasn't living a balanced life, then so be it, basically. And my life was really skewed towards accomplishment and towards career specifically, and it wasn't really balanced. And it took me some time to really unlearn that. And as a manifestation coach, especially my one-on-one work, which is with high achievers, a lot of what I'm doing is helping people realize that they can create the life they want and achieve the things that they want to achieve while also living a balanced life, while also honoring their relationships and their bodies and the holistic vision that they see for themselves and for their futures. And so I love doing this work, and I wanted to come on here. I actually have a coaching call in 20 minutes, but I wanted to just come on and talk a little bit about this because I know that a lot of you who follow me and who listen to me are in a similar boat where your only framework for how to succeed in your career or in your life overall is through skewing the balance, not taking care of yourself, not pouring into your relationships, not pouring into the things that matter most to you. And you might have picked up along the way the idea that if you want to live a balanced life, you need to achieve less. You need to give up on your dreams and goals, and you can't have the career that you want or the money that you want, or basically you need to sacrifice achievement in order for your holistic well-being. And I have really found that that's not true. But rather than just tell you it's not true, I really want to talk a little bit about what it takes to create that balance, to create achievement, to create growth, to create success, while also pouring into the other areas of your life, while also taking great care of yourself, while also getting enough rest and moving your body and pouring into your close relationships, and just overall living the full life that you desire to live while continuing to move forward on the way to your goals. And so I really saw that I was starting to get the hang of this in 2024. 2024 was the year that my business made the most money that it has ever made. And it was also the year where I worked out the most, where I actually set and achieved various fitness goals. I learned how to run. That was something that I really wanted to do. I wanted to get back into my mobility and flexibility, and I stretched like basically every day that year. Like I showed up how I wanted to show up for my body and for my fitness journey. That was also the year that I spent the most time with my family, connecting with my family, prioritizing family, and even finding ways to balance seeing my family and also doing my work. Like if that meant I was going to have to reschedule or set boundaries with clients, knowing that that didn't mean that I was a bad coach or like leaving them or abandoning them or whatever, but also that like it was safe for me to have both things going well at once. Like I could cancel a coaching call, reschedule a coaching call so that I could attend a family function, right? Like I remember when my sister passed the bar, and that day, the day that she found out she passed the bar, we decided to all go out to dinner as a family. And I had a coaching call scheduled that day for one of my courses, and I decided to just message them and move the coaching call so that I could go to dinner with my family. And like that is something that I probably would not have done in the past, unfortunately, but it's because of the paradigm that I was in, where like if you don't show up 100% the way that you said you would, or if you move things around, or if in any way you rock the boat in your career, it's going to backfire on you and it's not going to go well, versus really understanding that like I built this for myself. I didn't build it at the expense of myself. And even if I did bring some unhealthy paradigms into the equation in the beginning when I was first founding my business, at any moment I can decide that I want to show up differently and that I want to create differently and operate differently. And that's honestly what I did. So that's just one example, but like I really chose to take time for me and to prioritize myself. And that actually required me to notice and deal with the different anxieties that I had. So for example, I mentioned that I worked out very consistently in 2024, and I met a lot of my fitness goals that I had for myself. And that really required me to be able to stop working and exercise, even if I did not feel like my business was where I wanted it to be. Even if I hadn't finished everything on my list for the day. Even if I felt like I wasn't hitting my goals. Even if, whatever my brain was telling me about why I needed to keep working, I needed to stop working and exercise. Or I needed to exercise in the morning before I started to work, and not just wake up and basically roll over, eat something, and start working, which is a paradigm that I learned when I was at Harvard in undergrad. And I was just like learning basically like all these unhealthy habits of like pulling all-nighters and working from bed, and just like basically you wake up and you work all day and then you go to sleep maybe potentially, but you might stay up for days at a time. Like it was so unhealthy. And I really genuinely hope that if any of you are listening to this and you're in school, that you just like, nothing is worth that. Go to sleep and turn the paper in late. Like the world is not going to end if you don't meet every single one of those like insane deadlines that they are putting on you. And that's what I wish I had told my younger self. But for the sake of this, and really for the sake of the conversation we're having now, it really has been about unlearning the fear of stopping, the fear of taking a break, the fear of letting someone down by having to set a boundary, or letting someone down by having to reschedule something or cancel something or modify something, letting someone down by having to like really just not be perfect, like having to be a human being. And so when I talk about like living a balanced life, a lot of it was letting go of perfectionism, letting go of this idealized image of what it looks like to be a successful person and what it takes to be a successful person, and actually being willing to put that ideal down and to say, who I am enough. And the most well-rested version of me, the version of me who moves their body the most, the version of me who sleeps the most, the version of me who nourishes close relationships, the version of me who is the most holistically fulfilled, is the version of me that I want to be. And then, of course, when I let myself be that version of me, and when I protected that above all else, that was actually when my business made the most money. And the reason I think that's true is because I think what I was also doing was I was teaching myself that you can succeed while being a holistically healthy, fulfilled human being. And ultimately, that is what I want for my clients. And so the more I believe that's true, the more I can help my clients create that. And so that is why I think I was able to have a bigger impact in the lives of the people I'm here to help, because ultimately when my business makes more money, what that means is that I helped more people and I helped people in deeper ways. And so the year where I helped the most people and helped people in the deepest of ways especially is the year where I did the deepest work on myself and showed up for myself in the way that I want to teach my clients to show up. And so I basically became like the proof of concept, so to speak, of you can live a balanced life and still succeed and still grow and still accomplish the things that you desire to accomplish. And you don't have to choose between success and fulfillment. You don't have to choose between success and like holistic well-being. You really do get to have both. That's not just a theory, that is like my truth now. And because it's my truth now, it has been so much easier for me to really guide people on that journey. And so if you're listening to this and you are wondering like, what are some of the things that I do with my clients to help them create that, to help them achieve that, I will point you to episode 128 of the U 2.0 podcast. I interviewed one of my clients, Rosa, and we just talked about Rosa's journey of achieving some of her biggest goals for her business while also letting go of that burnout paradigm, letting go of the paradigm of I need to be performative and I need to abandon myself in order to create the life I want. And specifically with her, it was really about learning to trust herself to show up for her dreams in healthy ways. And that was what was true for me too. Like, it's about trusting that you can do it the healthy way and that it will work. And that maybe you're actually like over giving to a situation that does not require all of that from you. And I think that was really something that I had to learn as well, was that like me giving 150% all the time is just not necessary. Like, it is just not that deep. It was never that deep. And I know why I started giving 150% all the time. It was honestly because of childhood stuff, like trauma, genuinely, just like the fear that me doing my best wouldn't be good enough. And the fear that there would be really bad consequences if I came up short and if I didn't meet expectations and if I didn't get the results that my parents were hoping I would get in school. Like, really bad fear of like getting bad grades, basically. Like that, just to put it simply. Like, I grew up in an environment where getting bad grades was punishable and really harshly punishable. And I had experienced a lot of like pain, like bad experiences as a result of my academic performance early on in my life, like second grade, third grade, etc. And we're talking about like, oh, you got an 8 out of 10 on a math quiz, like stuff like that. So there was a very small margin of error, but the way that those errors were punished was so harsh that it taught me that I needed to over prepare and over deliver in every single situation, because any type of mistake was basically unacceptable and actually like a very scary thing. And I've talked about this before in other contexts, but like for the sake of today, the reason I'm bringing this up now is because that got ingrained inside of me, was that mistakes are not safe and getting things wrong is not safe, and it's better to be unbalanced but over prepared, and it's better to over deliver, and it's better to overwork so that you always have the right answer and so that you can always be perfect, versus taking care of yourself, versus being holistically supported and loved. Like, that was what I really had to learn and what I had to overcome in order to create holistic fulfillment, in order to create a holistic sense of safety and freedom and expansion that did not depend on fear. So it was really about like, how do I achieve things and be great at things and like get great results without it all being motivated by fear of failure, and without it all being motivated by fear of not being good enough, and by trying to like prove myself, or subconsciously by like trying to secure my sense of safety in the world and like prevent something scary from happening. Like, I had to do a lot of inner work and healing work really to locate that, to find out that that's what was happening inside of me, and then to process it and move through it and outgrow it. Like, that did not happen overnight. That is work that I had to do day in and day out. If this resonates with you, I recommend the book No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz, which talks a lot about like a really practical, actionable approach to inner child healing. I do a lot of parts work with my clients. I would also recommend breath work. That is my favorite somatic healing tool, and breath work really does help you practice creating a sense of safety in your body, and practice realizing that you have the power to regulate your own nervous system. So your sense of safety is not dependent on you just reacting to everything outside of you, but you can create that sense of groundedness and safety within yourself. Breath work is a really great tool for that. There are a ton of different styles and ways of doing breath work. I'm partial, obviously, to the ones that I teach and the ones that I do with my clients, but I would recommend that you explore that if that's something that feels like it could be helpful for you. But really unlearning these achievements paradigms and unlearning the idea that success has to come through pain and suffering and overworking yourself and not taking care of yourself is really about unlearning that fear, unlearning the fear of failure, unlearning the belief system that tells you that if you're not perfect, then, you know, there's something wrong with you, or has you questioning your sense of self-worth whenever you don't get the results that you want. Like, all of those things that put pressure on you and cause you to overfunction are the things that you need to locate and heal versus just giving up. Because a lot of people, they realize that it's not healthy for them to keep showing up in these ways that lead to burnout. It's not healthy for them to keep going without sleep, and to keep going without physical movement and exercise, and to keep going without social time, and to keep going without family time. And like, they know it's not healthy, but then they just give up on their goals. They believe that they have to choose between their well-being and their goals, and then they choose their well-being because they think that they have no choice. They think that they have to. They think that like their own sense of well-being is at stake in pursuit of their goals, which ultimately is not true. But in order to really embrace the idea that you can be holistically well and taken care of and grounded and like fill your cup while also having the energy and the capacity to create your goals and to create the life that you see for yourself, you have to be willing to move things around. So don't lower your goals. I would not say lower your goals. I would not say stop pursuing things. I would not say water down the vision that you have for your life. But what I would say is start to heal those things that are telling you that you have to abandon yourself, that you have to burn yourself out, that you are not capable of achieving things unless you put your own well-being at stake, because that is the lie. And that is the thing that needs to be dealt with. Again, I will point you to the book, No Bad Parts. I will point you to breath work more broadly. And I will also point you to myself. I do this work privately with high achievers, learning how to achieve their goals in healthy ways. And the framework that I use is manifestation. So when you Google the word manifestation, you will see all kinds of things come up. I'm going to tell you what manifestation means to me. To me, manifestation means going on an internal journey to create transformation inside of yourself so that you can meet your life in new ways and therefore get new outcomes. So it really comes from the idea that changing the way that you think and the way that you feel, the way that you respond emotionally, impacts your behaviors. And then because your behaviors are going to be different, you are going to get different results in your life. So it comes from the lens of personal agency, empowerment, and doing the part that you can, doing the work that you can to change the things about your life that you do not love, to change the things about your life that you don't enjoy. And I also do this through the lens of teaming up with the divine. So healing your relationship with spirit, and if you have any religious trauma, like healing that, because there are aspects of life that we can't control, of course, but when we believe that the universe more broadly is in support of us, when we believe that factors outside of our control could still support us, and when we don't believe that the world is against us and that everything is hard inherently and that everything is rigged and that we're going to lose no matter what. Like when we let go of those beliefs and when we build a stronger worldview and when we build a stronger perspective of the universe and our place in it, then that allows us to move forward more confidently in our lives. So it's spiritual work, it's psychological work, and it's all done with the intention of helping you bring your deepest, most dreamy vision to life, the vision that you really, really want to see for yourself, helping you bring that to life in a way that does not include burnout, in a way that does not include abandoning yourself or overworking or letting go of your basic needs, in a way that doesn't ask you to make trade-offs that you really shouldn't have to make, because I want you to have the well-being and the success, and I don't want you to have to choose between either of them. I believe that manifestation broadly is a framework that can help us get there. That is the framework that I use with all of my clients. And if you want to know more about what it's like working with me, again, episode 128 of the podcast where I interviewed my client Rosa, episode 127 of the U 2.0 podcast where I talked more about my perspective on manifestation and what it's like to work with me as a manifestation coach. And I actually have a spot open right now. So if you're listening to this around the time when it comes out, you can head to either below this episode, if you're listening on the podcast, you can head to my DMs if you are listening to this on Instagram or on TikTok. And you can always reach out to me and let me know that you want to apply for private coaching. Like I said, I have one spot available in a 3-month package, and the last day to apply is September 30th. So I love you so much. It was so great to get to spend time with you. I am going to hop to this coaching call that literally starts in 1 minute. And I am sending you all the best wishes as you go out there and pursue your goals in a way that feels good and healthy and sustainable for you. I love you so much.